Good day, everybody, and thanks for joining us for a little preview of the January 2023 rate case. I want to introduce myself. I'm Mitch Carpenter. I'm the manager of product management at BCC Software. I oversee a lot of the software development operations. And along with me is my colleague, who I'll let introduce himself.
My name is Adam Koester. I'm a product manager here at BCC Software, and I am in charge of a lot of the requirements gathering and communication of those requirements to our development teams for our postal products.
So what we're going to do today is just go through a quick overview of the 2023 rate case to give you guys an idea of what the regulatory changes are. We're not going to dive into the specific software implementations. They're slightly different across each product. But we do want to make you aware of what the major changes are and some things you need to look out for even outside of the software. So from here on, I'll let Adam get going with his presentation, and I'll only chime in when it's necessary.
And then I just want to make sure up front that everybody's clear on what we're talking about here. A lot of the requirements that we've been given from the Postal Service have been mostly in conversation and sometimes in email conversation as clarity to what has been already published as DMM changes or postage statements. So everything that we're talking about today is current as of today's date, Friday the 13th. And as things are refined even further and the software updated to follow those requirements, we'll be letting our customers let you know as much as we can and as quickly as possible when things have changed. It's important to note that the dates for this rate case have already started to go into effect. Postal 1 release happened January 8th. That was last Sunday at the time of this recording, and the implementation date for the new prices and the new structural changes and the new requirements for the EDOC submission will go into effect in about a week and a couple days here on January 22nd. And we'll talk about some exceptions to that as we go forward with some of the structural requirements. Just a big broad overview of what we'll be covering. As noted, we've got rate changes that are happening, and mail.dat and mail.xml both have new versions that will be required as of this release. We've got a lot of structural changes, which we'll mostly be diving into for the duration of this webinar. And then we'll briefly talk at the end about the mailing promotions and some possibilities, if you have questions or comments to reach out to BCC Software with. So the major change, the biggest change in the structure of that's coming to us with this rate case is the changes to marketing mail, periodical flats, and how they're prepared. Previously, those flats were allowed in sacks in just about every case across the board, and the post office is now requiring that those flats be prepared in flat trays or flat tubs, as they're colloquially known. This is going to just about across the board replace every level of sack preparation. And for a lot of those levels, that preparation will go away. There are some exceptions where you can continue to prepare flats and sacks, and we'll talk about those a bit. But in general, we are going to be talking about flat tubs for those two classes of mail moving forward. In general, a couple things to note with those flat tubs. In that they instead of in a similar way as they would have been prepared in first class mail, you will be using the white lids for those instead of the green lids as is pictured there. In general, you'll get a much smaller amount of mail in a flat tub than you would have gotten in any individual sacks. It's about 2 to 1 or 3 to 1, depending on what size sack you were using and what size and how big your mail pieces were. And there are some restrictions on how the sacks will continue to be created. As I noted, there's a few exceptions to still being able to create those. You can still create carrier route level sacks for both periodical and marketing mail. There's still some conversation happening with the post office about how those should be palletized and the entry requirements around them. But in general, you should be able to palletize carrier route level sacks on carrier route level pallets and drop those at the destination DDU or the destination SCF facility. I've got a couple of references in there, and we will share this PowerPoint with you afterwards so that you can go and cross-reference all the information that we've got here. but there's a couple of the FRN changes that have been going into effect there. There will be additional exceptions to the requirement of using flat tubs as well, and those will be found at the 5-digit SAC level, the 3-digit SAC level, and the SCF level. We're still waiting on some clarifications and conversations to commence or to finalize there before we do a lot of that implementation in our software, just because there's some interesting entry point requirements and still being discussed. And then you will not be able to palletize those sacks at all when you are creating them.
A couple of things to keep in mind on that one is, can you go back one?
Sure.
A couple of things to keep in mind here is that due to the nature of the container, there's a couple things to keep in mind. When you're producing mail, you're likely to need more square footage for each mailing as you're taking things off of whatever finishing equipment or printing equipment. You're going to need more room for more pallets unless you're, hopefully you're in a situation where you have one going in the machine, one going out of the machine, but expect to need some extra room for staging. Shrink wrapping these is going to be a little bit different than shrink wrapping packages or pallets of stacks. And the other thing is to make sure get into your post office or Meteor or whatever source you have for requesting these containers. These types of tubs have always been scarce, at least in my experience. And they also tend to be the ones people like to keep at home because they're kind of handy. So they have a tendency to run short of these quite a bit. So make sure you're working with your BME and the Meteor system to get this, the mailing equipment from the post office stocked up because you're going to need a lot of it. That's all.
Thanks. And there's also some things to note as well with that change that is going into effect. The post office has communicated a grace period for that change. Now, we have a lot of questions still out to the post office. There's some clarity that needs to be provided from them about how this will be implemented. At the moment, if you try to submit mailings in the previous method of preparation and just using sacks and not using tubs to Postal 1, those won't be able to be submitted right now. We don't know if that will be changing in the future. And similarly, all of the mailing software, BCC software is pre-sorting software, as well as any other software that is out in the field today, is unlikely to just be able to create things in two different ways. So we're still working with the post office to define how mailers can take advantage of the grace period. And then depending on how those things come out, as this grace period is only 30 days from the implementation date, meaning that it would end on February 21st, some level of software changes may be possible, but if they're very large changes, that's not a lot of time frame to get software changes in place and out in the field in a quality manner. So we will communicate with folks as soon as we know what those, how to go about using the grace period. And some of it might be workarounds, some of it might be using an old version of software, but we'll communicate anything that we know as soon as we know it. Another change that is coming is that the mixed NDC bundles on pallets has been extended to, or mixed NDC level has been extended to bundles on pallets for marketing mail. So that means that if you want to palletize with bundles on pallets, every single level that you could have, or every single bit of mail that you can, you will now be able to create those pallets with no minimum. So if you just want to be doing bundles on pallets for marketing mail or periodical mail, you can just do that and avoid the entire previous conversation completely. We would recommend that you start moving this way as much as possible, especially in periodicals. You'll avoid a number of container charges with the lower volume allowed in tubs. And it will just improve kind of the flow of mail as well at the post office when you're dropping that off in terms of preparation or in terms of sortation and processing that mail. Now, not everybody's able to do that right away, and some people may not be able to do it at all. But if you do have that ability, we'd recommend you start moving towards bundles on pallets preparation as much as possible for both those classes of mail.
Yeah, the post office has changed to allow this mixed NDC level with standard bundles is intended to kind of get rid of the sacks that are normally at the end of a bundle-based palleted mailing. And this should make it a lot easier for customers to produce this type of mail. I believe there's no minimum, and I think the new language doesn't include any of the shrink wrap language that used to be in the previous for NDC level pallets. So hopefully this will make it easier for you to move to a bundle-based pallet sortation, and it really is the most efficient way if you have, supporting volume. It allows you to avoid a lot of the complications that are coming along with this rate case. Also, depending on what software product you're using, whether it be a post pre-sort product or bulk mailer or mail manager or pre-sort, we'd say, take a look at how you can leverage this new rule. It may be a better option than courtesy pallets or low volume pallets or whatever functionality the particular product you're using has a way to sort of back into something similar. Now that the post office is allowing it, it's a good time to review the settings of the pre-sort and make sure you're taking the best advantage of the functionality to remove all of these kind of leftover bits and pieces at the end of the job.
Yeah. And the other thing that I've called out on this slide is just that the FSS has fully been removed from the DMM at this point. Now, you shouldn't see any changes as a result of this, since FSS facilities have been out of the labeling lists and USPS data for many months now. But a lot of the software is in the process of removing all those references, so you will see changes to the interfaces and what options you have for either creating pallets or what levels you can create FSS at, and you will see those changes coming across as well. Another note here that is potentially helpful and good to be thinking about creating pallets in marketing mail is that they've added a pallet level discount for SCF level pallets. Now to be clear about how this one works, it doesn't matter where you're dropping these pallets. They could be going to origin, they could be going to an NDC facility or the SCF facility. No matter where they are going, if it is an SCF level pallet, which also includes the 3-digit level pallets, you will get a discount for that level pallet, all the mail on that pallet being created. They've also expanded the what used to be the containerization discount, and that's for mostly carrier route level mail, and now it's called the delivery sort container discount to include pallets made at the 5-digit merged and the 5-digit scheme merged pallet levels.
That's a mouthful.
There's a lot of words going on there.
Yeah.
There are also changes coming to competitive products in a zoning redesign. This will only affect competitive products, so it's important to note that things like periodical mail that's zoned or bound printed matter mail that is zoned will not be affected by this. But the local zoning has been removed, and what was previously a single zone category on postage statements and other reports as zone 1 and 2 is now being split into a separate zone 1 and a separate zone 2. So if you look at the 3600 for first class package services or priority mail that's zoned, you will see 2 lines where there used to be 1. Priority mail commercial has also been consolidated. What was previously priority mail base and priority mail plus has been consolidated into a single pricing structure. Underneath the hood and in all the software products, these things will now just create or do the same thing, as well as do the reports in the same way as been updated by the Postal Service. There used to be extra requirements for shipping priority mail plus pieces. Those have all been removed. And now what we have is just a single priority mail commercial product and BCC products that supported either or both of those in the past have made updates to make sure that's clear. So if you are doing either, or we're doing either of those types of mail, make sure you're looking at your job settings and making sure that everything is set up in a way that you expect it to be. We do have a new promotions calendar, and I've just taken a slide from the post office's own presentations here. We have 6 promotions coming this year, and then the BCC products will support those in different levels across the board, but basically anything outgoing that you can enter into an eDoc for entry into Postal 1 will be updated for these new mailing dates. A couple things to note is that in general, the percent that you will receive back for a promotion has gone up. There's also some additional levels that were added. So if you can take that extra step to do your mail piece in the level that's slightly above, you've got an extra percent to get off of your mail for personalized color transpo and the emerging trans promo and the emerging technology promotion. And then the informed delivery promotion is also coming back, which I know is very popular. In general, they've also extended the time periods that these promotions will be going on for a month or two in either direction. So make sure you check out the links that we've got in our slideshow here to make sure you're prepared for those promotions as they come up and take advantage of them as much as possible.
It's also important to note on the informed delivery, you see a little sub bullet there. You know, it used to be the incentive only went to the postage payer. They've changed a little bit this year so that the e-doc submitter also has some incentive. Well, I believe that's new. Might have been there last year, but just want to call it out that, you know, a lot of our customers, we know you're not the postage payer, you're the mail preparer, and that one specifically has been tweaked to include a little incentive directly for you rather than just the postage payer. And we think that's a pretty good enhancement from the post office.
And then finally, at the end of our presentation here, I just want to make sure that everybody feels welcome to reach out to BCC Software. And if we can help in any way, whether it's making sure your jobs are up to date with the most recent requirements, getting your software installed, or if you have questions about how either different types of software might be able to help you prepare your mail and kind of the next level up, or just use the software that you have today, make sure you reach out to us. We've got a great support team that we've been talking to for many months getting ready for this rate case, and they're all ready to help you use your software to the highest potential that you can. The other piece that I want to make sure that everybody is aware of is that a lot of the changes that we've been discussing have gone through many iterations of conversation, and we're still waiting on the written requirements to come to the DMM for a number of them. So as we either get changes or the clarifications that we've been waiting for, we will be putting out additional updates, fix packs, service packs, follow-up releases, depending on your type of software, that will catch as many more of the requirements as we can. We wanted to get something out to you so that you were moving as much as you could be at this point, but I know there are things that we're still catching up on, refining the requirements as they move through our software and get you the best rates and sortation that we can. And those will be coming out to you as well. And then on the page where the PowerPoint and the video recording are posted, we will also have a form if you want to reach out that way to get to the right part of BCC to get your questions answered.
And we also want to take a minute here to welcome new folks to the family as we're talking about rate case. Now we know we have a lot of window book customers that are also going to be viewing our content, and we're very happy to have you with us. And we also encourage you to reach out to support or to anybody inside the organization to try and get help and maximize the ability of using all of the products you have to get the best result for this rate case. We know this one's been a little long in the process of getting all the information we needed from the post office, which has had some effects on how we deploy software. And we are trying to make sure we get everything buttoned up as quickly as possible. But please reach out to us. You know, we're here to help you. That's something I hope you all understand. Contact our support team. Reach out to the product managers directly if you need to. Anything we can do to help smooth the transition this year, we'd really like to be able to help you do that.
And then our last slide here at the end, and you'll be able to access this as well with the direct links to a number of additional USPS resources to help you understand the rate case. As I said, as you're going through these things, you have any questions, please reach out to us. We'll help you navigate the complex changes that we've got going on here. And with that, that's the end of our presentation. I want to thank you all for watching. I hope this rate case goes smoothly for everybody.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much, everybody, for joining. Thank you very much, Adam. It's a great presentation. I hope it'll be a lot of help. And once again, Happy New Year. Hope everybody gets through this rate change well, and let us know what else we can do to help you get there. Thanks so much.